So, what is a monotard? Well, I worked it out 8 years ago after I recorded Erol On Monotards, right? I'd been targeted by a criminal family and big gang for about, fucking half a decade or something like that with that juncture. Now it's 14 years and they're still targeting me because I'm supposed to commit suicide. Now the thing is, I'll say it right away, I've thought about suicide because I passed this test a long time ago, and I thought, why endure these sacks of shit still committing countless crimes against me, paying diseased whores, diseased in the mind, X amount of thousands of pounds to commit crimes against me. And in the end, I always come to the same conclusion: just wait, just wait until Mother Nature takes me away herself, you know, or these evil bastards shoot me or something like that. Wonderful characters that they are. And so I tried to get rid of the monotards for years. I was just using them to expose evil. Erol On Monotards will be soon, unless they bump me off even sooner, or section me, or imprison me, or, you know, whatever, hospitalise me somehow. They're wonderful people. And so all I'm pointing out is that in Erol On Monotards I'd finished studying them, and they told me that one of the magic circle, I better put this first and foremost, they're in a paedophile ring. My gigantic paedophile ring around the world. There's 6 million paedophiles, and that's the ring that binds them all. Paedophilia, right? And each one of those paedophiles has a circle, a magic circle, and each one of those people in that magic circle have X amount of people that they bully and see if they can get away with. And if they can't get away with it, they'll kill the person or try and shut them down, using, for example, criminal kangaroo courts, where the judge is a paedophile and they obviously wheel him in to wave his rattle and his high chair with his Batman cape on, you know, and his stupid fucking wig, pretend to be a judge when they're pieces of shit. 9 out of every 10 judges is a piece of shit. Fact. So anyway, all I'm pointing out is that I've tried loads of times to get rid of these fucking sacks of feces, you know. What the fuck? They targeted me 14 years ago, as I put in Erol On gang stalking. They targeted me and they've committed crimes against me for 14 fucking years. And they have the audacity to say to me that I've hurt them. They've committed thousands of crimes against me, if you count every single one that they've paid for, right? Thousands of crimes, right? Think about that. 40 heinous crimes that I'll expose, and I'll expose the petty ones basically before that as well. So where was I? Right. So basically, they told me during the process that I'd hurt their feelings, or feeling to be more exact, and to stop punching down. In other words, to let them commit crimes against me and close my eyes, sit in darkness, don't even think, don't even move, let alone retaliate. Think about the word retaliate, right? In a monotard's brain, it believes it can con you into thinking that retaliation magically predates instigation. Instigation, you couldn't make it up. Retaliation magically predates instigation. They're as thick as shit. However, sadly, it works. You know, they find out in infancy when they arrest themselves that all they have to do is say, "You are what I am. You are what I am. You are what I am." Whatever words the baby uses to disguise that baby's formula, it goes on to the day it fucking dies, seeing if it can cause you to choose to worry about being thought of as being a bad person. I better put this in right away as well. Look what I'm wearing, my t-shirt here. Remote neural monitoring is a technology used to make targeted individuals commit suicide. Told you. Remote neural monitoring, right? Look it up. I put it in the last video as well. Put it up. Check it out for yourself. Remote neural monitoring. These sacks of garbage are using quantum level technology to basically do what's known as quantum entanglement, where they can actually see what you see through your pineal gland. Essentially, that's the kind of gateway to your perception of reality. And they can basically, they've got the equipment to spy on you to that extent. They can see what you fucking see. They can hear what you fucking hear. They can think what you think. And then, what do? You thought something about us we don't like to hear. You're a bad person. You're a bad person. Right. From 18 to 98 of the pyramid of evil scumbags I'm going to expose today. Again, hopefully for the last time. And basically, all of them say that, no matter how many crimes they've committed against you, they'll still see if you'll worry about being thought of as being a bad person by serial killers. And I'll name them. William is the head of that tree that's at the top of that totem pole, impaled up their arses in a basket on its way to hell for eternity. Ta-ta. So the point is, so William, he's at the top, and they call him the Ur Willie, which is a famous Scottish character. But I've been told he's a paedophile and a murderer, and every type of crime under the sun he's committed. Underneath him is Thomas. I think Thomas was actually probably in the army at some juncture. Major Tom seems to ring a bell with a Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. And I think he's got lung cancer, unless I'm mistaken. Maybe more than one of them has lung cancer. 'Cause they keep telling me that one of them's got lung cancer. I don't know which fucking one they're on about, Nor do I care, because it's none of my business and I want fuck all to do with them. Hell awaits them, And it's got fuck all to do with me. Think about me. I'm the holiest man who's ever lived. No one's perfect. Think about the holiest men of all fucking time, like Moses. Most people live their life in accordance with what Moses carved in stone, or pretended to, or did to a certain extent, before he couldn't be arsed anymore. Then he came down and smashed them, because he was fucking raging. Such a moral man. He'd gone up a mountain to carve in stone what he couldn't get through their thick fucking skulls. And wait for it, they're in charge. Moses saved the people who are in charge today and are killing us all. It's called omnicide. Omnicide. Think about that. They've focused on omnicide in the 1940s, and they've been carrying it out ever since. And they've got underground bases. Did you know that? Deep underground military bases where the military will find out they're first up against the wall when the shit hits the fan. Right. So anyway, so there we are. Basically, that's William, right? So, and we've got Thomas. He might be in the MOD in the past, and I think he's affiliated to the police force. He's in the paedophile ring. I don't know if he's a paedophile though. I know that William is a paedophile, but Thomas, I don't know if he is or has been, and has changed his ways. But basically, he tries to communicate with me through whores that he pays money to talk cryptic shite. He's a really good guy. And wait for it. Then there's his wife, Mucky Mary, as I live and breathe, salt of the fucking earth. As long as you mix blood in with it, Bloody Mary. And she is a witch who's high up in the occult. It's laughable, but they do carry out acts of evil, and then get together and basically get off on it, right? And they can get off on evil without touching their genitals, fuck me. So the point is, all they need to do is just kidnap somebody, put them in a circle, and then torture them to the point where they either let the person go or kill them. Or if they can't get a person, they'll steal the pet of somebody they hate. So that's why quite a lot of pets go missing each year, along with thousands of humans who basically suddenly disappear and can never be found again. No matter how advanced our DNA is in checking out, finding out, oh, that's that person from that DNA sample. Thousands every year in this country, they magically completely disappear. As I worked out, does anybody hang about crematoriums at night? I'm up for it. Don't misconstrue what I mean by that. So anyway, where was I? So that's Thomas. Thomas has what you call a satanic network that the paedophiles are in charge of, and their lower downs as well. And the ring, they conspire, basically and they carry out these acts of evil, these sins, these crimes, and try and do it in plain view, having calculated if the person's basically secure or insecure. You know, do you have a lot of people around you who you can tell? And if you do, can they be bribed off? Can't even say it. And so the answer is yeah. 1 out of every 3 people, if you pay them a small amount of money, won't commit an act of evil against you, to their knowledge. You know, something that will hurt you. You know, they won't do it. 2 out of every 3 people in this country will carry out any act of evil just about for enough money. I'm the holiest man who's ever lived. I've been offered right away, the very first get-go, Thomas came into my life through a whore. He hired a male whore. And the male whore said to me, Erol, join the Freemasons, and you'll get £100,000 this month. Right? And I knew back then, with the help of Saint Old Les, who's in heaven waiting for me, and basically through my own feelings, my own gut instinct, I knew that piece of shit was trying to mislead me, you know, to join it on its fucking way to hell for a pittance, a mess of pottage. And so he fucked off, right? And then, so I was like running a small business and he was just a customer. Then he went online, on Facepants, and basically started contacting me in Facepants. And to cut long story short, I told him to fuck off again. However, because I'd been targeted by a female who I'll just call a letter of the alphabet, basically, I'll not mention her name. She's a serial killer and taught me how to kill over the internet, which I'll now expose. Suffice to say, because of her, when that ended, I started studying sociopathy, psychopathy, narcissism, bipolar, and so on, and borderline personality disorder. You know, all the same, virtually the same. You know, the most important thing is your fMRI brain scan. That dissuades all other input. Just look at that, and that's it. You know, look at the brain scan. Front of the brain doesn't work. They have to be sidelined culturally, or they're going to destroy whatever they touch. As evil is self-destruction, amongst others. So anyway, where did I get to? So there was me studying, you know, like bipolar. So when that guy came into my life to ask me to become a Freemason, right, I'd been studying in autism, Down syndrome, and when I looked at Down syndrome, one person wrote, having a daughter with Down syndrome is like having a pet dog. And I thought, that's not a very nice thing to say. But he kept on with shite. So I wrote back to him, quite a lengthy reply. In the middle I put, you know, good luck with, you know, raising your pet dog. You know, I know I shouldn't have said that, right? He'd wound me up, because that's it. They're wind-up merchants down there. Wind-up merchants. And when they wind you up, that's what the bastards are hoping for. You basically become their wind-up toy, right? And so I've been studying being non-reactionary up to that juncture. I wasn't perfect at it, however I was really good at it. And I've gone beyond it now, you know, to the stage where I can articulate what used to make me angry. And I think they probably find that hurtful. However, if you get hurt when you're committing crimes against someone, fuck you. Now, it's very important for me to say this early doors. Don't fear them, right? Even if they're going to fucking hang you, shoot you, imprison you, section you, and I'll cover it. You know, no matter what they can do, because they've got no moral conscience, really. Don't fear it. I mean, just tell the fucking awful truth, and they'll either benefit from it, or they might either leave you alone or kill you, or come back for you, or torment you, hold you back, do any kind of crime you can think of. They're the scum of the earth. So, I studied, you know, as I've said, Down syndrome. However, anyone that knows me knows I actually love people with Down syndrome. They are very, very loving people. Yep, they have their fits, yeah, some of them are criminals. However, the vast majority are more loving than the average person. And certainly, as you get more towards the spectrum, with sociopaths, psychopaths, if you want to call them, I call them psychopathic, because it's always a choice. Narcissists, all, to me it's just the fucking same. I studied it for fucking years. They're all monotards. So like I say, then after Thomas withdraws his whore, after I've said what I've said, and they realise, wait for it, that time the guy contacted me on Facepants. He asked me if I could join the network where I would be surprised that I would get another 100,000 the second month. You fucking couldn't make it up. And that's why I then put in the phrase I copied and essentially pasted in my reply. And so once Thomas was told to get to fuck, his ambition is, if he can't get you, then he'll blackmail you or hound you, and as I already said, try and see if you'll worry about being thought of as being a bad person by evil incarnate. Yeah, daring to point its fucking crooked finger with 3 fingers pointing back at itself and fucking overflowing lavas of evil. Yeah, and leading all the way back to their childhood when either they chose to go in that direction or they were pushed in that fucking direction. The thing is though, as I'll bring out an Erol on child abuse, you don't need to ever go in that direction. Yes, you can make mistakes because of your upbringing, but hold on, I think there's a scumbag coming in the background there. And so, no matter your upbringing, at some juncture it's up to you. It's over to you, right? So, like I say, in a nutcake, there I was, and what happened? Thomas then sent in Mucky Mary as a live and breathe, right? Basically Bloody Mary. She gets sent in, right, through one of her whores, who I call Mayhem, and basically her and her 2 children, Brian and Georgia, who I didn't know existed. Basically, I thought Brian existed, but I thought it was a different son of the same. Never mind. They like to be confusing, you know, and it's just a massive game on their part of musical chairs and pass the parcel. To me, to you, to me, to you. You get the idea. So anyway, so Mary comes in, and her objective is to try and cause you post-traumatic stress disorder until you either go to hell in a handbasket with the Freemasons, or to hell in a handbasket with Mary and co. It's a massive cult. Remember, I said 6 million circling the earth, and each one of them has a magic circle. There are 6 million magic circles, right? Who are part of a massive paedophile ring, who have tons of technology where they can tap into a satanic network. They're fools. They call themselves Satan worshippers, Lucifer worshippers, the occult, a bunch of daft bastards. And basically, they just get, you know, they use each other. The ones at the top pay the ones at the bottom to carry out acts of evil for the filthy lucre. Not to worry. However, because, as I've said, I'd been studying, when Mayhem came, she tried her best to cause me post-traumatic stress disorder. Didn't work. And she famously said, "Everything I've said and done has been a deliberate choice," which was amazing. However, something else she said, which only got through to me years later. "I think I'm lost. I think I'm lost." Right? So everything she said and done had been by these pieces of shit over there. Right? Those pieces of shit over there. Basically, those pieces of shit down there. And they'd given her this kind of play to act out what they'd done with loads of people before me. I wasn't the first, 14 years ago, you know, and basically she admitted to them live when they were tuning in to what was happening with remote neural monitoring, right? A technology that will blow your socks off, and it can be used for pure love, and it's being used by them for pure evil, utter evil, yeah? And so you need to help me to help you with this if you want not only freedom from poverty, freedom from abuse you don't even know is happening to you, they get off on it. They're abusing you in ways they know of, and if they know a secret you don't know, that adds to it. So anyway, when Mayhem fucked off, I started studying again, and I found Sam Vaknin, right? And Sam Vaknin was found by my late mother about 2 decades ago, and she told me essentially it was her soulmate, but neither of them had a soul, so that's as close as it gets, really, for her and him. And to conclude, I didn't study him. Yeah, I waited until after Mayhem had fucked off, and then I started studying him, and by fuck, when I started studying him, I realised, oh no, essentially he was not only my mother to a T, he was the ability to unlock the door to them all. And funnily enough, in the Quran, which I've never read more than one paragraph of, it says, essentially the key into hell is lying. That's it, really. I know the phrase is better than that, but it really is. The key into hell is lying, and you're then arrested there for eternity. It's better off coming from the Quran than me on that one. I've said it before in the past, a lot better. Not to worry. And so basically these creatures lie all the fucking time, and that's why when Thomas shows up, you'll never believe he's a fucking serial killer, right? Because I talk like this, I'm just a fun character. Oh, come on. That Erol's a bad person. He once said my daughter's a pet dog, and 3 years later, after we committed countless crimes against us, he said my son was an ornament. Yeah, I forgot to mention that for the last time. About a third of a decade after they'd contacted me, committing countless crimes, I didn't even know about most of them, and online, Brian and his father, Thomas, and his mother, Mary, and whoever else, Wally and a guy called James, fuck James, for another video. Basically, in a nutcake, after a third of a decade of Thomas, and especially Brian, sending me hate mail every fucking day, they told me, look, Erol, don't reply anymore. We've committed loads of crimes against you, jig's up, we're not going to do any more, so just stop replying, stop retaliating, right? And so basically I said, they then told me Brian's in a wheelchair, right? And I didn't know, nor did I know that he's got autism, and he might have like paranoid schizophrenia, and so on. So when they told me that, I fucked off and said, look, I'm just going to Africa to farm with the poorest people on earth. So basically, ta-ta, bye-bye now, thanks for all the fish. I've finished studying Pon Erol Ajay, and I just want to fuck off and farm elsewhere, as I was farming in Portugal at the time. And to conclude, they said, cool, right? We'll stop committing any more crimes against you, just don't fucking reply. Fair enough. So and then, after selling the farm, I fucked off to Lisbon, and before, during and after Lisbon, they wouldn't stop committing crimes against me. You fucking couldn't make it up. Now, very often they've got an ulterior motive. Their ulterior motive was for me to stay in Portugal. They buy the farm off me, which they did, and then Brian gets wheeled into the farm, and then they blow up the villa and go, ha, winning, right? What she'd been doing for about a third of a decade. Again, winning, winning, winning. You couldn't make it up. A third of a fucking decade, every day, winning, right? Not just Brian, Thomas as well, and his mum, and his wife, and Cocoa Pops, as they call Willie, their Willie. And so what I'm pointing out is, I was meant to stay in Portugal pants, and then they blow that up, and then basically I go, oh here, that's dreadful that, and then they leave me alone. No. Every single day for Thomas is 1984, right? Every single day for Brian is Groundhog Day, right? So even if you say fuck all to them, 14 years later, after telling them to fuck off, right? after 14 years of telling them, and whoever you thought they were, as they get people to pretend to be their doppelgangers. And basically, so I just wanted to get to fuck. And I didn't reply. They went on and on and on, right? And followed me to Africa. Now, it's very important I say this again. You mustn't be afraid of these sacks of shit, no matter what they have at their disposal, with whom they can use a whole system, a whole corrupt system of evil nurses, evil doctors, evil police, evil judges, evil lawyers. They're all shitheads, right, out there. 90% of people who pretend to be your authorities are sociopaths. And it's a massive fucking network, and they're all on the take. They can all be paid off, and they don't have moral conscience, so basically they don't give a fuck. They just do it and that's it. So anyway, off I went to Africa, and they followed me all over Africa and hounded me and locked £20,000 of my money in Portugal, so I could only give out money on the street of Addis Ababa to as many people as I could afford to do so for days. And then I ran out of cash. I had to come all the way back to Scotland where, as I just said, your authorities arrested me and put me in prison. However, unless I'm mistaken, Mucky Mary got me back out of prison in one night. It went to a higher court and I was set free. However, wait for it. Daniel, you fucking bastard. Daniel then puts in he'd been putting an appearance on and off that I kept forgetting all about. He tried to influence me to leave the country. Essentially, and I already felt they were not going to stop leaving. You know, they weren't going to stop. They were not going to leave me alone. And he, wait for it, I was on a train. You'll not believe this, right? And he stopped the fucking train. He got the train driver to stop the train right where the sun would be beaming right through my window. Right? That's the shit they can do with that network and remote neural monitoring. They can be as specific as that. They can slow a fucking train down to try and influence you. Well, it did. I left the fucking country again. All I wanted to do was music and charity. That's it. A bit of comedy, a bit of poetry, you know. Evil bastard that I am. You know, and then work towards, again, farming. Which I'm working towards now. However, it's taken quite some time as they are involved still. Yeah, and with me, if you give me £10,000 and said, go and say a certain phrase to that female, it torments her. I would kick you so hard in the fucking nuts, you know, you'd have jingle bells hanging from your throat. The point is though, but that's what they do. They have a network where people have opted in and they can be easily, you know, chosen to attack you. Verbally, as I've just said, imprison you. Right? The reason they imprisoned me was for exposing mayhem 5 years earlier. You couldn't make it up. 5 years later, I've been told that her, it turns out who's Mucky Mary in disguise, basically she had changed her ways and she was now trying to buy herself a stairway to heaven while still committing countless acts of evil. Not to worry. The point is though, so 5 years after leaving Scotland in a hurry, because they kept sending the police to my door, and they sent social workers to my door, all towards trying to imprison and section me. And as I just said, you've got a network who will basically bullshit you that they're the good guys. When I'm as holy a man as it's possible to get. And if I tell you it's the truth, it's the fucking truth. Right? However, they would say, no, see, Erol's got the mental of the health, which is the problem, or the monotards get it. They need you to believe that they're not lying bastards. They need you to believe they're shite, right? And then they can just section anyone, imprison anyone. And behind it all, they continue to commit so many crimes on a daily basis. Atypically, the person will suffer from either post-traumatic stress disorder, or beg them to join their dark satanic mill. And obviously the 6 million paedophiles, each one's got a magic circle, and it's up to each one of the magic circle what they do with the people they bully. These wee bastards. Every one of those wee bastards wants to feel powerful, as they call it, self-destruction amongst others. And they only feel powerful if they're bullying someone. I repeat, if they calculate that they can bully this person and get away with it, then they all home in it. And then after it, when you reflect them exactly as they are, when you let them have it, even just verbally, you retaliate. It's dreadful. You're a bad person. You're a bad person. Imagine reflecting us exactly as they are. We're only committing crimes against you. Don't reflect us exactly as we are. It hurts our feeling. That insane. Insane, criminal, and evil. They've got ice in their veins. They're not fucking human. And I repeat, they're arrested in their development because they choose not to develop, and they're encouraged not to develop. But everything they say and do is a deliberate choice, and they only have themselves to blame ultimately. Yeah? There's a moral law I discovered called the moral law of divinity, and it arrests you at the age you choose to not blame yourself, to pretend the other person's to blame who's retaliating, and to then give them a hard time and maybe come back and do it again. And you never blame yourself. You'd never feel remorse or guilt. If you never develop those parts of your brain, you end up what's known as a mental quadriplegic, which is why I sometimes call them spastics. Right? Mental quadriplegics. And they only have themselves to blame because they've reached a certain point in your life where every single decision without exception is just your choice. It's your choice. You know. Where did I get to? Oh, right, so Daniel, or should I call him Danielle? I think he's gay. I have nothing against gay people. Watch one of my previous videos about it. You know. And basically, according to them, they are serial killers, but the person has to kill themselves, whereas Daniel will kill them for you. Winning! So anyway, and allegedly he's in a massive satanic network in America. And I'm telling you, these cunts, or to be more accurate, arseholes, if I do something on the internet, they can press a button on their satanic network, which I call the Tommy Tippy Mobility Activity Centre, or Mobile Activity Centre, and basically, if I do something on the internet, over the phone, in person, anywhere I go, these assholes, using remote neural monitoring, can basically jump in and basically have a go at me. Especially through their greedy whores who'll do anything for filthy lucre. And that's why we must get rid of money. Money is bullshit. It's all bullshit, you know. It's to keep you in your place, keep you fucking down there, keep you hurt, oppressed. It's to abuse you, it's to crush you, it's to give you less than what they've got. Now, it took me a long time to work this out, right? They want their cake and they want to eat it, right? It took me ages to work that out. It never sat right with me, that, you know, even in childhood. And so, basically what it means is, they're guilty of being greedy of you having a cake, right? I'm putting that in there. So let's just say they steal your cake. So now they've got a cake. They then eat the cake, then look down at their plate and go, where's my cake? Right? And God help you if you get another cake at that juncture. And so, but that's how stupid they are. They want a cake and they want to eat it. So when they eat it, it's gone. They look to their plate, but I want a cake. And they want to eat it. It took me ages to work that out. And I repeat, if you get a cake at that juncture, fuck me, they'll try and turn the tables on you. Yeah? And also, mega low maniacs are all the same in so much as they're very, very envious, which is self-destructive. I've never been envious ever. I've just been happy for other people. what they want to do, even if they've got $1 billion in the bank, like Thomas and Mary and Wally and Daniel combined, they've got about $1 billion filthy lucre in the bank, and basically still not enough. It's never enough. What do? They then try and rob you of everything you have, so you then, I repeat, look to them and say, oh, can you give me some crumbs from your trough, from their table? And basically, and if you do go in that direction, they then can then look down on you, right? And basically, they want you to quarrel over crumbs as though tomorrow never comes. Right? It's in one of my songs coming up. And so anyway, so that's, well, there is James as well. He flies about after people on a flying carpet to give them grief, you know, through countless whores, on aeroplanes, in person, you know. He's just one of them though. I repeat, there's a whole totem pole impaled ass to mouth, ass to mouth, ass to mouth, and he's just one of them. And so if we go past him to Brian, for the last time, I can barely fucking remember him. They just keep trying to remind me all the time about him, and over the course. And then sometimes he tries to remind me of him. And basically, I repeat, he committed fucking about 1,000 hate crimes online, and laughed at me whilst his father committed 100 crimes in person through these doppelgangers, these sociopathic network of whores, so on. But to epitomise Brian, right, I put up a video of Yehoshua of Nazareth walking to be crucified, with a crown of thorns on and so on and so forth, and the word shame kept coming up. And Brian contacted me to let me know that people had been lying about me because I retaliated to him after a third of a decade of countless crimes by him and his family had been carried out. And so eventually, when they wouldn't leave me alone, when they told me he's in a wheelchair and I fucked off to Africa, they still fucking followed me, committed countless crimes against me. So in the end, as far as I can remember, when he was being hateful towards me, as usual, disrespectful on a daily basis, I said to him, who the fuck do you think you're talking to, you wee dick? You're a fucking ornament. A glorified ornament sitting in a wheelchair full of fucking hatred, hating a man who just wanted to do good out there. I came to Portugal to do good. I'm going to Africa to do good. I'm going back to Scotland in the end to do good. Everywhere I go, I want to do good. Fuck off and stop sending me unicell, fucking unitard, monotard, brain cell fucking images of a solitary eyeball. Which he sent me and his father every single day. They sent me a picture of an eyeball. It doesn't matter to me now, you know, but at the time, every fucking day, it's me again. It's either Thomas or Brian. It's the one brain cell between them. It's me again. I need to know it's me again. Solitary eyeball. It's me again. Solitary eyeball. It's me again. Solitary eyeball. Thomas, Daniel, Mary, Brian, Wally, James, the exact same. Just a solitary fucking totem pole impaled up their arseholes, and it's hand-me-down tyranny. And I repeat, they all want somebody to bully. So I came back from Africa, right, and was arrested at the fucking airport. I was going to stop in England, have my guitar, went on to Scotland and had to go after it, you know. And then I repeat, imprisoned for one day. And then Mucky Mary, I think, took pity on me. And there's nothing you can pity about me. You know, I do pity them, although I don't feel pity for them. Long story. Basically, so then Daniel stops the fucking train. And so I fuck off to Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, London, Wales, Belfast, Dublin, Belfast, and I have enough. Right? Enough. Right? Everywhere I fucking went, the assholes either humorously or evilly hired criminals to target me. Everywhere. I repeat, Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, London, and Wales, where they tried to get me to get off the bus to meet our Willie, and they're just jokers, you know, or to try and make me understand that Daniel is in an even more evil cult than themselves. And I didn't go off, you know. And so, one point is that I got to Belfast, Dublin. By the time I got to Belfast, wait for it, I had no more money. I'd been all over the fucking world and I didn't have 1 pence left. And then a wee guy with autism who had helped enormously before I went to Portugal, Portupants, he came on suddenly on the computer in the fucking, you know, this place for people who are down and out. What do you call it? What are they called? Homeless people. And I was a homeless person, and basically he comes on the internet at that exact moment in time and offers me £50, just gives me it. So I was able to get the ferry from Belfast. Very often I had a 3-foot afro. And so that'll happen again. When I go up to the Isle of Lewis, I'll end up with a 3-foot afro. The wind gets you from all directions. And so anyway, with that 50 quid he gave me, which is pittance compared to what I gave him, doesn't matter though, I managed to make it back to Scotland. And as soon as I got off the bus, they were already mocking me. And then police walked towards me and did exactly as we were told, just barge into me with their shoulder and walk on. That they're in control of your police force, right? They've told me again and again, take the letters P and O away from police. What are you left with? Lice. That's how Freemasons see the police. Insects. Lice. Why? Because paedophiles are fucking insects, and I'll prove it, right? Your amygdala. I've got a massive amygdala. Paedophiles don't. Loads of people don't. And they don't automatically become paedophiles, however they turn a blind eye to it. And so, basically, sociopaths all have 2 pinheads for an amygdala. Right? So the urges from the pinheads are so strong and overpowering. Understand this. Every dog licks its arse. Behaviour is inherited. So, sociopaths, the psychopathic, narcissists, borderline, whatever you want to call them, they all have these tiny, primordial, evil insectoid urges and prompts. Now they're in the middle of their head, right? And they're a weak surrender monkey who does whatever these urges tell them to do. And what do they do after they commit the crime? Yeah, but you're a bad person for retaliating and reflecting me exactly as I am. Right? That's them for the rest of their life. I repeat, the moral law of divinity, boom, fucking targets and arrests them exactly as they are until they develop beyond that. Most of them don't. So they're just going to hell in a handbasket. So, in a nutcake, yeah, they don't develop beyond infancy. So unsurprisingly, they're attracted to infants because they don't develop beyond infancy themselves. And I repeat, they don't develop self-awareness. They have no moral conscience. They can't accurately precognitize the consequence of their actions. You know, that's them to a T. And they'll go to their graves pretending the innocent are to blame and the guilty are the innocent. And that leads them into their stupid fucking religion, the ridiculous cult, which says, bad is good, good is bad, wrong is right, up is down, evil is holy, holy is evil. I worship an imaginary animal god. So basically that sums up that religion. And unsurprisingly, monotards end up going there in their droves. Right, now to simplify, I'll do it very, very quickly. Right? When I went all the way around and ended up back in Scotland, basically Willie and James took the petted lip with me because when I was in the shower and they were remotely monitoring me, I started spitting down the plug hole and explaining to them if they don't change the error of their ways, that's where they're going. I didn't realise though there's fuck all they can do to change. It's too late. You know, Wally already is going to hell in a handbasket. He can never ever escape his damnation. Right? So what did they do? Got the police farce to kick my fucking door in, right? And drag me off to prison. And I was in prison, not for one night, you know, no trains to put me off staying there. I'm joking. 3.5 weeks I was in prison, and that's the first time I ever felt suicidal. Because I suppose when it came right down to it, I was starting to know that I'd passed this test, and I'd just, what was the point of having passed the test and spend the rest of your life in prison when you could just fuck off, you know, and just, you know, end it, you know, and it's cool, you know. I already know I've passed this test, and that's all I want in my headstone, passed. and basically I know, I've been told, I've been led to believe I'm such a holy man. I already have earned my wings in heaven, and that's that. So I repeat, there's 4 times I tried to commit suicide because of them. When I say tried, I just thought about it. I didn't physically do it. I didn't write out any note. You know, that's the kind of thing those showers of shit do. They'll hire somebody to copy your handwriting, murder you, and then put that beside you, so it looks as if, like Kurt Cobain, you're blowing your head off, you know. Remember, if I suddenly have committed suicide, it's murder. Remember, remote neural monitoring is a technology used to make targeted individuals commit suicide. You see it back there? It's a long one. It's probably too long a sentence for the average sociopath to remember. Shut it. So anyway, all I'm saying is that 3.5 weeks, and they kept doing things like they would take me out the cell and take me somewhere, and the guards would say, look, we never do this kind of stuff. They're asking us to do this kind of stuff. And they put on like movies, specific movies, all the rest of it. They just need to understand. Get to fuck off and leave me alone. Yeah, leave me alone. 14 fucking years these dickheads are contacting me, wait for it. Not only, here's a solitary eyeball, here's a solitary eyeball. Not just that. If you join the Freemasons, we'll stop committing all the crimes against you. Just join the Freemasons and we'll stop committing all the crimes against you. From 18 to 98. From 18 to 98. Every fucking day. And I tend to forget virtual reality like that, you know. So it was so easy for me to forget. Alright, if I fucking sell my soul to these devils, you know, to be like those devils, I mean, then they'll stop committing crimes against me. That's what a free Mason is. You're just free to go and work like fuck. They don't give you a penny. They'll lure you and say, oh, I got £100,000 this month. £100,000 the next month. Oh, I have to sell your soul, and that you'll get that. And then once you sell your soul, ta-ta, bye-bye now. Right? They just whistle and fuck off. That's you left. It's just they won't commit any more crimes against you. That's what being a free Mason means. So good, I said it twice. So, I repeat, so there's Yehoshua of Nazareth walking to being crucified with the word shame flashing. And Brian contacts me to say, ha ha ha, everyone thinks because I'm in a wheelchair I deserve pity, and that you abused someone in a wheelchair after a third of a decade, saying I'm an ornament, glorified ornament, and everyone now thinks that about you, and they don't know I'm a serial killer because I used the internet to kill people, along with my father who commits crimes against them until they all commit suicide. Right? Wait for it. Think about that. Basically, he tells me the full shebang again and again for all these years. He keeps coming away with it, saying the awful truth, you know. You're a targeted individual, yeah, and all the rest of it. And basically, he knew. He isn't that fucking deranged, you know. He knows it's all bullshit, you know. He knows that his father and the rest of his family are pushing him out in front of the public as a pity play. You know, oh, he's in a wheelchair, therefore anything you say in reply to him, any retaliation, even after he's committed a third of a decade of crimes against you, including his father, and his grandfather, and his fucking mother, and his cousin, his fucking uncle. So if you retaliate, then, then they've got the excuse to pretend you deserve it, have it coming, brought it on yourself, and we're asking for it. You deserve it, have it on your... You deserve it, had it coming, brought it on yourself, and we're asking for it. Every sex offender says that exact phrase. Every sex offender says that exact phrase about their victims. And a lot of that fucking garbage want what they call victims here on earth, which they kind of pretend is kind of like hell, and then they want to have them in hell as their, whipping boys for eternity. They're magical thinking imbeciles. I repeat, they don't develop beyond 3 to 5 years of age. Monotards don't develop beyond 3. Unitards don't develop beyond 5. And if you look at their brain scan, the front of their brain doesn't work. Now it works even a little bit. They use it to help them get narcissistic supply by preying on you, trying to hurt your feelings, trying to make it you are what they are. They're obsessed with that. You are what I am. You are what I... As you know, the baby's formula. No matter what words they use to disguise that, from 18 to 98, they never stop saying, you are what I am. That's on the black side of their binary bug brain. On the white side, they can actually be quite nice to each other. I repeat though, don't fall for their token gestures. They can give £100,000 to a local charity for children and then go home and abuse people using a satanic network until they commit suicide. Right? The pillars of the establishment. Fuck fame and fortune. They've offered me that, or pretended to offer me that, if I sell my soul. There's fuck all they can blackmail me with. And that works on loads of them. Blackmail. If they get something they can blackmail you with, they'll stop committing their crimes if you join their cult and then become one of their wind-up toys. They can send you out to target people for thousands of pounds, but you're such a lower form of life. The girl that said to me, I think I'm lost, I think I'm lost, also before that told me that she, with them, they'd lowered her to the lowest level of Dante's Inferno. Base, how low could she go? That's what they worked with her towards. So basically, I'll go over quickly some of the crimes, right? So when I was in prison for 3.5 weeks, right? And basically I told the guards about what was going on. They eventually said to me, why don't you get yourself sectioned and you get out of here in a flash? Right? So all I had to do was get myself sectioned, and it meant that Mayhem, who'd told me, I'm buying myself a stairway to heaven, I've got more children now, I'm not going to commit any more crimes. I believed her, wanted to believe her, and then in prison basically just told them all, look, about as much as I could understand at the time, because remote neural monitoring was still a tiny bit beyond me, even though I knew it existed. I hadn't the full boona that I'm giving you tonight, or today. In a nutcake, they got me to a kangaroo court, unsurprisingly, and everyone in the court was bought and paid for, unsurprisingly, each one of them on their way to hell in a handbasket. And so I told them everything, and they sent me to a lunatic asylum. So it's my moral choice to have gone to a lunatic asylum so I don't have to expose Mayhem. She's buying herself a stairway to heaven, hallelujah, off you go. Instead though, they sectioned me for 5 months. I think it was 5.5 months. And kept the court case rumbling on in the background so they could have fun and games. Fun and games with me locked in a tiny, tiny psychiatric unit called an IPCU, where you're not allowed out, for 5.5 months, except to kangaroo court, where again, they just wanted to show me everyone's corrupt except you, Errol. Everyone's got the price. Everyone, you give them enough money, they'll do anything for you. You must join the Freemasons or it's not going to stop. Right? 14 years in that shape. And so eventually, the chick, the lawyer, who Mucky Mary used to get me out the very, very first time after a day. She used her to make me seem insane in court, rather than the person and people behind her who've targeted me being insane, criminal and evil. Right? So anyway, blah blah blah. At the end of it all, the judge, you know, sitting in his high chair with his rattle, said, "All right, Errol's insane, get him to fuck." And so I fucked off back to the IPCU and they let me out for the first time. And off I went. However, it didn't end there. Danielle hadn't finished with me yet. And all this time, it was just after that rather, he started sending a chick into my life on the internet. Again and again this has happened. And basically, I just thought this was an ordinary nice lassie who was a bit cuckoo, and she said she'd liked me and had followed me for years, and she wanted me to live with her in America. So just like when I fucked off to Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, London, etc., I decided to fuck off to America. The police came and got me again. And so they tracked me down using remote neural monitoring to a remote hotel in Glasgow. Not allegedly, this is like something how they've magically worked this out, you know. And even a social worker once said, "How the fuck did you know where Errol was?" We left his house and basically fucked off to Glasgow, to some remote hotel in Glasgow for the night. How the fuck do you know where he went? No answer. However, I laughed because I didn't want her fucking up the stage I'd got to, because I was almost out. However, she was spot on. The reason they were able to track me down is remote neural monitoring. I've said it enough. So anyway, basically, they want to pester you. They want to hire whores every day to come into your life and go, fuck hole, monkey cake. Right? They might as well say that. That's what they all say. It's almost unbelievable. They're insectoid, remember that. They're weak cylinder monkeys, which manifest as being evil swine, soulless, unempathic, inhumane, garbage. Right? Right? When they commit a crime against you, the garbage want to know that you've been hurt. They'll contact you through one of their whores, and sometimes by themselves online, quickly and then away. Or via a whore that comes to your door. The network allows them to target you the nanosecond you try and get somebody to deliver messages to your door, as I'm doing tonight. And so they'll probably send a whore to talk cryptic shite. If you decrypt, you know, what the garbage are hoping you think about and get hurt by, because they get hurt by you reflecting them exactly as they are. They then contact you and say, right? Which means, has my latest guess worked? 14 years. You've been contacting me saying, you fucking couldn't make it up. Here's a picture of an eyeball. Here's a picture of an eyeball. Wait for it. What they're hoping for is for you to have a negative emotional reaction validating egomaniacs shite. As I told you though, when I was targeted just before I turned 40, I've been practicing becoming more and more Christ-like to be non-reactionary. And that's what impressed her and led to her saying, I think I'm lost. You know, and they did fuck off for a while. However, I went after it because I needed to stop her and her family from committing crimes against other innocent people who might not be as strong-minded, and so on. And so, to abbreviate that, I changed that to Negaboobiogaboodiago. Right, so first of all, it's Abromadegaboodiago, has the guess worked, and if it has Negaboobiogaboodiago, is it having a negative emotional reaction, validating the egomaniac shite. 14 fucking years of that shit. They are monotards. Now, if you're targeted by shite like that, they get off on trying to cause you post-traumatic stress disorder, and if you do end up with PTSD because of them. They know that they can eventually, this can get rumbled, and for all their money, for all their connection, they could find themselves in a maximum security prison for the criminally insane, where they fucking belong, right? However, learn mindfulness technique, and it really does help. I don't need it. I'm non-reactionary, and I will channel it comedically, artistically. Really, I just want to crack on and forget all about that low life down there, and those low lives, and basically, but they may well want to try and stop me, which makes themselves their own worst enemy. You know, if they're hurt by me telling the awful truth, the word hurt being in truth, stop fucking committing crimes against me. Just fuck off and leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with your magic circle. You can stick the Freemasons up your arse, you know. They're just a bunch of fucking whores. Yeah, on their way to hell for eternity, and they can take all the scumbags they want with them. And there's loads and loads of them have come up to me and admitted that they've been paid by that share of shite to commit crimes against me, and they all have this exact same look. I call it freshly peeled, because if they had even a scrap of soul left, you fucking couldn't make it up. I'm literally surrounded by a creche of spastics, a pound of hounds, and feral cats, if you want to give them a compliment. So, in a nutcake, ambient abuse. There's a video on it called Erol On Ambient Abuse, unsurprisingly. And basically, that's them trying to hide attempted culpable homicide in plain view. Now, if you watch Erol On Ambient Abuse, halfway through it, I show you some of their crimes live. And it's really simple. There used to be one car every 15 minutes max going past my window when I moved in here half a decade ago. In the last the last half a year, they have sent what they call demon drivers, flying monkeys, to drive past my window once every 15 seconds for the last half a year. And very often it's the exact same car, like taxis they've hired to just go backwards and forwards with nobody in the taxi. So it's just obviously bullshit, you know. And I repeat, they pay people to come to the door to babble, whatever they can say that they hope hurts your feeling. For example, I went to Boots not long after my late mother passed away, and before she died, she was so deranged, she thought she had a grandson called Enron. I didn't like to tell her because it might upset her, you know. Eventually I had to tell her, and she was horrified, you know. And these whores told their whores in Boots to pretend that they had an excuse to say, "Are you Enron? Are you Enron? Yeah, couldn't make it up. Are you the imaginary grandson of a dead mother? Welcome to Boots. How can I serve you?" Oh, who's it you serve? The devil. Moreover, Tommy knockers, right, which obviously Major Tom is guilty of. Tom's obsessed with Brian and him and others, all doing, creating loud sounds around. So not only have you got the demon drivers, scumbags coming to the door to go, you've also got goading online, in person, through people who are working in the mental health department, most of whom are sociopaths, fact, and they target you, and on it goes, and basically, like I say, they can even hire neighbours to come in and blast out music really, really loudly, you know, and get people to park outside your window and hammer the door, try and get you sectioned, and then hire patients to pretend they're inpatients to hammer the door next to you, to get nurses, corrupt nurses, to walk up to the door behind which where your bed might be, and they'll all scream through the door. You couldn't make it up. This goes on non-stop, and I was told about it 14 fucking years ago. They've been doing it for donkey's years to donkey's amounts of people. Donkey's amounts. And in a nutshell, they were so used to it. They just like when I was in Portugal, they told me they were going to do this when I got back to Scotland, because obviously they were determined to try and get me sectioned, imprisoned, and ideally to commit suicide. Or if I didn't commit suicide, they would then be what they call seasonal vegetables. Seasonal vegetables. So basically, they'll come back once you've recovered. Because they're insane, they think you're a source of energy and that they're an energy vampire, and they can go whenever they go. It's followed by them sucking. Whenever they see an act of evil, a crime being committed against people, which they call vague, because obviously you can think, oh, what's wrong with a car driving past every 15 seconds? Well, they're paid by serial killers to try and cause you post-traumatic stress disorder until you commit suicide. Fair enough. And so, I could go on. There's loads and loads of this shit, you know. So, like I said, so you've got the Tommy knockers, I was told about 14 fucking years ago. Demon drivers, I was told about donkeys years ago, because they couldn't get as many demon drivers to drive past the farm in Portugal. I live next to a main road just now. Now, as you know, I'm trying to move up to the Isle of Lewis, and that should take away some of the temptation from those arseholes, basically, and they'll not commit as many crimes. And me being me, eventually I'll forget about them, because that's what happened. A quarter of a decade went by. Quarter of a decade. There. If you go back a quarter of a decade, and to analyse my memory, as that shower of garbage can, they've got technology to analyse your memory. Basically, I hadn't thought about them once in quarter of a decade. That's Daniel and Thomas, not once. And in half a decade, I'd not thought about Brian once. And 14 years, I'd barely known that Georgia exists. That's the Thomas's daughter, who I think's got Down syndrome. And like I say, so in a nutcake, you know, basically, whatever the fuck I was on about, I was right. So like I say, so hopefully I can get up to the Isle of Lewis and crack on and forget all about them, because I repeat, everything they do is sort of like virtual reality, because they make a point of not getting into the person's life as it would basically incriminate them. So they use whores through the network who'll take the money and commit the crime for them. And this can go on and on and on. And then they can contact you to say, don't tell the truth about us, or we'll section you, kill you, or imprison you, right? I've had that on and off for 14 years. Yeah, I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting that they even exist, because they live in a virtual reality. And you know, I've never met them in person, you know, where I've walked up and shook their hand foolishly, you know, or whatever. I want fuck all to do with them, whilst they want to play stupid fucking games with people who are curious, when curiosity can kill the cat. So think about any loud sound you can have made outside someone's house, whether it's smashing their front door, smashing the security doors to their bathroom area, and smashing bottles outside your window, shouting abuse up at the window, as I repeated, Tommy knockers, flying monkeys, demon drivers, you know, which they couldn't do when I was in Wisconsin and Portugal, as you know. How they, by goodness, after I sold the farm, by goodness, they started it as, when I got to Lisbon, it started with a moron going towards me on a train. I didn't react to the piece of shit, and when I got to Lisbon, everywhere I went, they followed me. And the reason I had to do that is because they stole my passport. Which brings me to a really good point. Everyone who flies a plane should have a passport, right? So you've been told. What about people who want to be an authority figure? A policeman, a judge, psychiatrist, nurse, doctor, whatever. Anyone who wants to be an authority figure, which sociopaths gravitate towards to hide in plain view, they need a brain pass. It's called an fMRI brain pass, right? fMRI brain scan, right? Which shows you if the front of your brain's working or not. If it's not working, you mustn't be in any position of authority at all. What should happen? You're sidelined, pushed out of society, yeah, and not allowed any type of job where they can abuse their position, to abuse innocent people, to ameliorate against what they've become themselves, right? Now, if I had my way, I would have them living in their houses where they are just now, and whatever they've got, the money taken off them, given to the poor, you know, and until we phase out money. And then if they start their shite, even when you've been this kind to them, under a fucking bridge, like their whole family, those who've been brain scanned and have got the same problem, under a fucking bridge, right? That's what you do with trolls. Right? And if people complain, say, oh fuck me, every time we go over that bridge, they shout some evil shite at us and tell me that my trousers are out of fashion, you know. And so I want them to get to fuck. Okay then, lift them out of there and let's put them in the Amazon, right? The Amazon, they're with people exactly like themselves, walking shite. And then if they cause trouble there, unsurprisingly, airlift them again to the jungles of Brazil, where they still paint their arses bright blue to this day, and their tits, and fire wooden arrows at low-passing fucking airplanes. And if they didn't get on with them, a fucking island, right, with the 6 million paedophiles, and all those in the magic circles with them, and anyone who begs to be, you know, removed from that shite, if they pass the brain scan, they can be returned to civilization. Because at the moment we don't have civilization. We have degeneration. And where's it going? It's going to hell in a handbasket. Just look up DUMB. Deep Underground Monotard Bases. You might want to change the monotard to military. Right? I repeat, that's what's happening right now, and they want to kill 7 billion people and take the rest as their prisoners, people they can bully, down under the fucking ground, launch all the fucking nuclear missiles, destroy everything above board and omnicide, and basically then get nanobots to clean everything above board, and then they can resurface as the kings of the earth. I repeat, magical thinking, 3 to 5-year-olds, and they're in charge. Which is why they need holy men, profound geniuses like me, selfless men like me, who just wants to give, to be basically, I don't know if you can hear something in the background, we'll call that Tommy knockers. I think they're trying to get in on the act. There is no act on my part. I just want to help. I just want to give. However, most people are just greedy. Greedy. I didn't know, really, what greedy meant until they started committing all these crimes against me. You know, I'm not covering most of these crimes. I'm better off saving it for a later date. I've given you like what they call the vague crimes, the petty crimes. However, the last I'll give you is this: direct energy weapons, right? Or directed energy weapons, direct energy weapons. A year and a half ago, without justification or alibi of any kind that anyone would say, oh, you've got a point there. What they did was, I was in the house and they hit me with a directed energy weapon, and automatically my hands started going like that. And I felt physically sick. I had to go and lay down, and I genuinely thought I was dying. And then they hired one of their whores, who's a psychiatric nurse, and basically she said to me, "Do you feel a bit dizzy, Errol? Do you feel a bit dizzy now?" I said, "No, actually I felt as though I'm about to die. I've never felt more ill in my entire life." In 9 months, it took 9 months to recover. 9 months to recover. And that shite can hide those weapons in plain view, and that's why I'm saying to you, never be afraid, right? Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid of them. Even though they've tried to kill me, I've committed 14 years of crimes against me. Without any exaggeration, if you trace every single whore back to their bank account. They've committed, wait for it, 33,000 crimes against me. Right? And that's not including the ones that where I think, was that a crime? You know, and obviously if you've got a demon driver driving past your window every 15 seconds, that rather bumps up the numbers. And so I should maybe stick to them hiring a whore to have me sectioned again and again. And recently, and basically I was told by a top nurse, he's just a fucking quack, you know, and they're going along with it because he appears to be like a trustworthy doctor. But she said, I know they gave him £90,000 to sign me, so I was sectioned, you know, and then they want to silence you, and if they silence you, what do? Commit more crimes against you. So they're going to commit more crimes against you, whether you're vocal or silent. They're going to pretend you are what I am, no matter what. If you blink, if you move a muscle after being silent for 16 years in your basement, you know, when you eventually make a sound, see, that's why we committed 16 years of crimes against you, because eventually you would make a sound, you blinked. Fuck them. All the greats said the same. Moses, who most people live their lives by, shoved them off a fucking cliff. Yehoshua of Nazareth took a fucking bullwhip to them for their usury in a temple. Turned it into a black mass, so they did. He did that to them. A bullwhip to their face. Moses shoved them off a fucking mountain. And I just want to move to up the Isle of Lewis, start farming and give the purest food there is to the poorest people there are. It's a pure food, and it's called Pure Love, the business, and the food's called Puree Love, as it's for infants. As at this moment in time, infants are eating toxic shite when you analyse it, and I've got the lab tests to prove the most popular infant formula is riddled with heavy metal nanoparticles, microplastics and nanoplastics, and the glass actually as well leaks into the product. You couldn't make it up. So I better round up right now. I think I can hear monsters coming to the door. Whores 10 a penny. You know, I repeat, you give me 10 million, I wouldn't join that filth down there. I wouldn't do anything they fucking say to me. I've shown compassion to them when they told me they were like suicidal, dying of lung cancer, had Down syndrome, had autism, in a wheelchair. They just take advantage. That's that. So I'll cut this short, and if I have to, I'll do one last video about it. So this is Erol On Monotards. Hopefully, I don't have to put that part one in. Hopefully, this is the last of it, and I'll go into the Isle of Lewis, where I can do videos like Erol on crofts, as I want to buy a croft. I'm quite close to doing so, and they're quite close to stopping me from doing so, and so on. And so Erol on crofts, Erol on living in a static caravan, Erol on building a kit house, Erol on polytunnels with hydroponic growth for the purest food children can have from 6 months on. Evil bastard. Anyway, remember, if I commit suicide, I haven't committed suicide. It's them. They've done it, to my knowledge, twice. 2 people committed suicide because of them. And I think more since then, because they told me that 14 years ago. And so, like I say, if you want, you can have a laugh and contact your police force and say, look, this motherfucker's the 33,000 crimes committed against him. Can we not get this to stop? And you'll soon find out. The police are not your friends. Almost everyone in authority is part of a satanic network that's been promised hell on earth. And they're getting it. D-U-M-B. Ta-ta! I said that because they're obsessed with telling whores to say, see you later, catch you later, see you later, catch you later, 14 years. See you later. No. Ta-ta. Honk honk.